principled way of building the workforce of the future, and it's one that I benefited from as a computer scientist, and it's this. Teach our workforce transferable technology skills. So when I was taught computer science, I didn't attend a class to learn a coding language. I attended classes to learn how to write good code that works as it should do, efficient code. And then I was taught how to learn any language, whichever language was the one that everybody wanted to use. And I think that principled approach should apply in AI. What we need is people that know how to collect data, store data, label data, manage the integrity of data that's going to be inside the training. We need to teach people how to write the inference engines, no matter what platform they're writing it on. Think about what it means to learn, to help a model learn. And then we need to teach people how you write good models for understanding the environment and the importance of the interface. We may find that in the state in the future, that when we go and look at how you're managing the green energy emission, that we'll go in and we'll see folks in immersive technology and they're interacting with visual interfaces. But underneath that, same model, same inference engine, same data, that might actually sit underneath another interface. And so I think there's such a huge opportunity, and it's a moment for us to make sure we don't get buried in the silos, that we take a principled approach, because then we can do the 3 Ps no matter which of the verticals we're in.
Yeah, and Minister Lokesh, I would like to come in on this, but after a comment from Professor Susskind, because he looks at this argument closely, if I'm not wrong, and I would love to understand from you, because something that I was talking to Professor Creed about, that the pace of development in this field is so rapid. What is it that, let's say, for example, an AI university that the state is thinking of can have as a necessary set of skill imparting that can help the students not just navigate through the AI challenges of today, sure, but over the course of the next few years, maybe?
Sure. So I think when we think about skills in education, there are sort of 3 dimensions to this. The first is the what. What skills and what capabilities are we providing people with? And that, I think, is the one that gets most of the oxygen among politicians and policymakers, trying to anticipate what jobs will be valuable in the future, and so what skills do we need to teach people today. But I think there are 2 other really important dimensions to education, which sometimes get neglected. So alongside the what, there's also the how. If you were to step into a time machine and go back 100 years and walk into a classroom or a lecture theatre, it would look remarkably similar to how they look today, despite the existence of many really interesting technological alternatives. So just one example. We know that one-to-one tuition with a human tutor is incredibly effective. An average student who receives one-to-one tuition will tend to outperform 98% of students in a traditional classroom setting. The problem is, of course, that providing everyone with a one-to-one tutor is incredibly expensive. Lucky to do it at some universities, but it's not a model that can scale. And that's what's so interesting about some of the systems that are being developed now, the personalized learning systems. Because what they're doing is they are tailoring in an automated way what is taught, how it's taught, the pace and so on, to the particular skills and weaknesses of the student in question. Kind of replicating that very effective but very expensive human model. And so, I thought it was very interesting that in the first few months of ChatGPT coming out, one of the first partnerships they did was with Salman Khan, who's the developer of Khan Academy, online platform providing instructional videos and practice problems, really high quality stuff. When I used to teach maths, I'd often direct my students towards it, really high quality resource. But what he did was he teamed up with ChatGPT to develop what he's called Khan Migo, which is essentially a sort of a tutor that sits with you as you're navigating the site and provides the kind of interaction that you might get from a human tutor. So I think the how is really important as well. How are we using technology to change how we educate as well? So there's the what, the how, and there's also, and this goes to your question exactly, the when. At what moments in people's lives are we providing them with the skills and the training required to flourish in the world of work. There is exactly as you say, there's a huge amount of uncertainty about the future. And the best response that we have to that uncertainty is flexibility. A willingness and a capacity for people to retrain and reskill later in life with the same intensity and seriousness with which, we sort of expect people to educate themselves at the start of their lives. And so, I know today people talk about things like lifelong learning and, governments have personalized learning budgets. But if you actually look at the resources we put behind those sorts of initiatives, they completely pale in comparison to the kind of investments we make in people at the start of their lives. And that can't be right. So my advice for a university like this is not simply to focus on the what, the sort of skills and the capabilities, but it's also the how. How are you using the technologies themselves to change the way you teach and educate, and also the when. What sorts of